All right, we should be live. Okay, here we go. Looks like the audio and video are working. If there's any issues with it, just let us know. If it says paid promotion anywhere, that's because I sent something. I'm going to showcase it in this live stream. I'm not being paid by them to do this live stream, but yeah, there's some stuff back there I'm going to share with you, so that's why that's on screen. I've been working on some cool stuff recently, so I hope you like what's coming up at the end of this month. I put a lot of work into something that's a bit of fun. It's still guitar related in some ways, so stay tuned for that. That'll be up at right at the end of this month, so I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, more cool stuff coming up. So let's see who's in the chat here. We got Maximus, welcome. He says, hi Shane, welcome. We got Giambi, I think it is, from Florida, welcome. All right, cool. Folks are here already. James. Is it Abnunga? Welcome from New Zealand. How are you, mate? All right, loud and clear. It looks like it's all working. Very cool. So this will also be a live Q&A too. So if anyone has any questions about anything you've seen on the channel or guitar stuff in general, let us know. There'll also be some jamming clips coming up of some of the gear in the context of a jam situation as well. More of that kind of stuff. Not at the shop either, so outside of that. So that should be pretty fun. I'm working on a few of those videos at the moment. It's funny, you know, like it's been so long since I played live that I'm a little on the rusty side, but I think the next one we do should be a whole lot better. What time is it here now? It is 11:32 a.m. All right, we've got Nick from California. Baked Alaska, welcome mate, hope you're doing well. Ridiculous Wonk, welcome. Recognize a lot of these names here already. Jeff Harper, welcome. All right, we've got BT Helco. Cool. Lots of folks from Canada, Chicago, Oklahoma. Very cool. All right, so we'll take any questions you might have if there are any. And if not, we'll get straight into the unboxing. And for those watching on the replay, I'll timestamp it so you can skip ahead. It makes it nice and easy. I haven't seen these guitars in person either, so I'm keen to check them out. Now, I did have a knife I was going to use to open all this stuff. It's always the way. Just bear with me. Oh, there it is. Good. I was going to say, I hope I haven't forgotten it. I did have one. All right, we've got one more guitars here. Welcome, mate. Surferbee, welcome. Russell Lucas, sorry, from Queensland. Sunny Queensland. It's so cold here today, mate. I got my heater on again. Another day in Vic. All right, we've got HL Cotton from North Carolina. Welcome. It's one of these knives, a little box one. We call these what do we call these? Stanley knives, I guess, right? So I think other countries call them something else, box cutters, but yeah, whatever. Any plans on trying the new Epiphone Les Paul Custom? Yeah, at some point I'd love to, mate. I think Epiphone guitars are awesome. So once the music shop, Sky Music has them in, I'll go down and pick them up. Good unboxing knife is so essential for a YouTuber. Yeah, they are. I actually bought a fun sort of pocket knife one, but it went blunt so fast. It was not good. It gets really sticky and sort of crappy really quickly. All right, we've got Hogan's Hideout. Welcome, mate. Hope you're all doing well. Let us know where you're from if you've just joined. We've got subscriber mode on too, so if you can't type, that's why. It's easier for me to kind of help manage the chat here. We've got Christian from La Baja. Very nice, man. Very cool. Let us know if anyone ever uses the subtitles too, because I've been putting subtitles in the videos quite a lot, just based on the demographics of folks who are watching. We've got Jarl from Norway. I don't think I pronounced that properly. Sorry, mate. Hey, Landon, welcome, man. Hope you're doing good. That's not a knife. Yeah, exactly. Do you have to buy the guitars or were they provided to you for review? So anytime you see that paid promotion thing, and I will also disclose every video that I make if stuff's been sent out for free. So no, I'm not being paid to make them on top of companies sending stuff out. A lot of the time it comes from overseas and shipping it back costs more than the product's worth. So yeah, a lot of the time I can hang on to stuff. Not all the time though. Nearly everything I showcase on the channel is borrowed from Sky Music. A lot of the time, that's how that works. I just borrow it, take it back. They don't pay me to make those videos. I just get a loaner and then I take it back. But in this particular case, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, these two guitars are here for review. Yeah, so that's how that works. All right, Quentin James is here. Welcome, man. What audio monitor and interface do I use? So I use a Steinberg UR22 Mark II. They're not anything flash. They're very consumer grade ones, and they work great. They're kind of like oh, you can see it right here. It's kind of like any of those 2i2s or the, you know, the Mo2s. They're oh, not the high-end Mo2s, sorry, the M Audio. So yeah, the Steinberg UR22 MK2s have given me good results. So I got two of these. I got one on this computer, which I use for the guitar stuff that I do in this room, and for the voiceover stuff, I've got one in the other room. And they work really well. I don't think there's a huge difference between spending like an extra $100 or $100 less on another one. They're all pretty much the same. Behringer, Steinberg, with what I do, it's not going to make any difference. Once you start spending a lot more, that you'll notice a difference. But yeah. In terms of audio monitors, I use Atom audio monitors and KRK Rocket 8s. All right, cool. We've got folks from New Orleans here. Welcome, Lil Wang. What is my preference in terms of guitar necks? Do you like glossy necks or natural finish necks? You know what? I really like roasted maple. I think that would have to be my favorite, even though I don't have a lot of guitars with that. It's just, it feels really good. I would say after that, it would generally be a vintage gloss. Maybe that's more of a visual thing than anything, but it doesn't quite get as sticky normally as like a high gloss neck, which are probably my least favorite. That being said though, one of my white Strat that you've seen has that high gloss neck, and after a little while it wasn't as sticky. So yeah, it's just depends on the guitar, but I think out of all the guitars I've played, the ones that really feel the best and worn in are either relicked, believe it or not, even though I don't have a relic guitar neck on any of my guitars, or the roasted maple necks, I think are really great. Hey, thank you, mate, from BT Holko. He says, quick one before we start. Do you guys get Traynor Yorkville amps in Australia? Curious if you played them, and what's your opinion? We do. They're hard to find. I've actually owned two. So the first one I had was the YCV40, and that was a single 12 with I think it had a Celestion 7080 speaker, which usually I'm not a huge fan of, but sometimes they can work really well. That amp was awesome. So for those who don't know, it was a 40 watt Hot Rod Deluxe ripoff, basically. It had that kind of setup. It was 2 channels, clean and dirty, and then a more gain channel. And I used to play that exclusively with my 335 from Epiphone for years. That was my rig. And then I got a tube screamer involved in the setup as well. But that was basically my rig for a long time. And many years later, I listened back to the tones I had with that amp and that guitar, and it was great. And it was surprisingly very similar to how it sounds now, minus the playing changed over the time. But yeah, great amps. I think the biggest difference between them and, say, a Fender is the cleans are a little underwhelming, but the drive channels are really good. But they lack a lot of, they've got this high pass filter, which means it kind of rolls out the low end. And that isn't always pleasing to the ear, but if you can crank them up, they sound pretty cool. And I also ended up buying, very briefly, a second one many years later. It was a YCB50. So it's a 50 watt single 12 blue Traynor amp with a Celestion Vintage 30, and that had more of a Marshall sound to it. It didn't have the 6L6 tubes like the other one had. It had the EL34s, and it was all right, but it wasn't as good as the other amps that I had at the time, unfortunately. But I used it for a couple of gigs, and I did a festival with it, which was fun. So yeah, we get them here. They're just not as common. That's one of the brands, much like Laney, that have kind of disappeared. You have to go to really specialty shops to find them. So, yeah. Hey, thanks for the super chat too, mate. I appreciate it. Mismore149 says, hi, love your videos. Thanks for the support, mate. Greetings from New York. G'day, Alan. Hope you're doing well, mate. Awesome stuff. Cool. Let's go down here. What's in the box? Yeah, we'll get there in a sec. My uncle. All right, cool. Ooh, the chat just flew down here. So the ones that I haven't seen. So on the used market here, we see a lot of those 2x12 Yorkville Traynor 80-watt amps. And I only bought one a while back. I went to the dude's place to try it out, and the thing rattled. Like you'd hit a note, and something was wrong with it. It just rattled, and I didn't want to go through the troubleshooting of getting that to not rattle as much because it's unusable if you're recording with it. And yeah, it sort of was way too heavy. So my suggestion is if you're going to buy one of those, get a single 12 one, plenty loud, 40 watts, 50 watts, and you'll be done. All right, we got Frank the Tank from Virginia. Frank the Tank. I don't know if you've seen that movie. I'm sure you have if you've got that nickname. So, yeah, the YCV series are awesome, Fenderish, but their own flavor. Yeah, you're right. They've got a different kind of thing. They've got a different thing to a Fender amp, although the configuration's essentially the same. It is different. Baked Alaska says, don't you love it when you find a cheap guitar that plays and sounds great? I bought a $200 Ibanez SG style guitar, threw in some extra P90s, and I'm loving it. Well, there you go. That's great. I mean, the pickups in electric guitars are going to be a big portion of the sound. It's not the entire package, but, you know, it will drastically change the tone by changing the pickup. So, yeah, good stuff. I mean, you know what? I'll give something away. So, I've played the Harley Benton Fusion T. I had a chance to play that live on this stream thing that we did, the broadcasting thing, and it was awesome. It was really, really good. I didn't do anything to it. So, yeah, I got some clips of all that kind of stuff coming up pretty soon. Hey, Addicted to Gears here, man. Welcome. Your chat's an hour and a bit later for me now, so it's hard for me to get it. It went live at midnight normally, which I'd stay up for, but now it's at 1 or 1:10 a.m. or something like that. So it's a little bit hard for me to get to them, unfortunately, but I hope you're doing well. What's your favorite Fender amp if I could only have one? Oh, man, it's a tough question because I like a lot of different Fender amps for different reasons, but the best sounding one of all time, minus the size, in my experience, is a cranked Fender Super Reverb. No question about it. They're just too heavy. That was, yeah, my favorite amp I ever purchased, but also the one I ended up using the least because of my back at the time, mixed with not being able to hide it in the car without it being seen. It was just too big. I couldn't put it in the back. So, yeah, it had to sit always on the back seat. It was just a bit, I hate doing that, actually. I just don't want to get robbed. So, yeah, I would say, without question, the Super Reverb would have to be my all-time favorite one. Yeah, I've tried a Fender Princeton recently that was the Chris Stapleton version, and that was special. That was really special. I can highly recommend that. It has no reverb. Add a little bit of delay or something to your signal chain and crank it up, and it sounds so good. Yeah, there's so many good ones. There really is. There's so many good Fender amps for different reasons for me, but they would be the two that really stick out to me. That big 100-watt Traynor is the YGL3. Okay, cool. I'll see if I can find another one locally. I wanted to pick one up a while back, but it was just, yeah, I don't like buying amps that have a lot of rattle, because while I know how to diagnose that, sometimes you can't fix it, and you're like, oh. So, yeah, I can't live with really amps that just rattle something shocking. And it wasn't like an oscillation of the valves. It was something else. It was a cabinet rattle. So, yeah. Hey, John's here. Welcome, mate. He says, I was ready to jump in at the start, and the smoke alarm inspector guy turned up. Fair enough, man. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in. All right. Blues Jr or Pro Jr? You know, the Pro Juniors are far louder than I gave them credit for. I kind of like them. I think they're a good little amp, but I think if you're going to be doing any type of live playing, buy a Blues Jr. The bigger cabinet, the bigger speaker, it makes a difference in the room. But if you're in control conditions and you're miking up, then you could go for the Pro Junior. Nothing to stop you there. I did a Keys to the Guitar Shop video where we played those live with a band. And it was like, oh, these are far louder than we realized they were. So, yeah, a lot of fun. John says, oh, the other John, sorry, says, I have a deluxe reverb tone master, great amp. I need to turn the treble to 10 to get enough treble. Well, that's kind of interesting. That doesn't sound like your guitars may be working properly because they're quite bright. Have you, like they got a bright switch on them too, right? Can you just flick that up? And that sounds a little strange to me. I've played probably 3 or 4 of them and I've never felt like they needed more treble. So it makes me wonder whether or not something else is going on there. Or you've got the power attenuator turned most of the way down, which probably will cut a little bit of that top end. So yeah, that's really interesting. I haven't heard anyone say that before. And I've never experienced that either. They are quite bright. Paul Caspers from Georgia, welcome mate. Alan Dean, welcome. All right. Have I ever considered a Fender Mod Shop guitar? I just got my lefty Strat hardtail roasted maple neck. It's incredible. I haven't really thought about it, to be honest. It's not something that, yeah, I always feel like if I'm going to build a guitar, it will most likely be pretty similar to something that I could just go get, but it'd be far cheaper just for me to buy the other one. But yeah, that kind of stuff's interesting. It's kind of interesting as well. So I might have a look into it. I haven't looked at it for a long time either, so maybe it's worth doing. I mean, if I get a chance to go over to Jerry's Lefty Guitars next year, as well as Southpaw Guitars, I'll be able to find all those guitars I can't get anywhere else. They're just made for those shops. So yeah, who knows? Might get some sort of weird signature edition guitar that you wouldn't normally be able to buy. So we'll see what we can find. The new Gorilla Glues are great on the Rattles and old amps because it expands. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I did a video trying to diagnose amp rattle. Anything from the valves to the sockets to the cabinet to the speaker to the grill cloth touching the speaker to the, you know, the actual, you know, the baffle, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, there's so many things that can cause rattle. And if you're at someone's place and you're testing an amp and you hear that, it's kind of like a warning signal to sort of leave it. But yeah. I didn't have a lot of time to sort of work out what it was. Sometimes it can even be the reverb tank's dodgy, right? So, yeah. Tor from Denmark, welcome mate. Beautiful part of the world over there. Love Denmark. Something else. I only play my DSL 40 on half power. Will that mess it up over time? No. No, they wouldn't have put it on the amp otherwise, so you'll be fine. I think all it's doing is probably bypassing part of the power section of the amplifier, like maybe one of the valves or something. So no, they've designed it so it'll be fine. I do that a lot when I'm just playing at home here. Anytime I'm recording, I'm always running it on 40 watts, but I'm going through the Captor X thing. But yeah, so no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine doing that. A lot of people will say, oh, if you run the amp too hard or they have the volume up too much, it's going to burn out the tubes. And I don't think that's true. I've run amps cranked through attenuators and all kinds of stuff over the years. I've never had that happen. Bruce says, absolute best Fender amp I ever had was for blues was a 65 blackface basement head. Oh, cool. I haven't tried one of them. Paid $100 for it. Wow, long time ago. Yeah, I bet. I'll mail it to you. What was it? Oh, sorry. That might be something else. Hi, Shane. Thanks for the super chat, Sean. Hi, Shane. Just got a PRS S2 McCarty 5942 2 weeks ago and loving it. What do you think of the Celestion G12H anniversary speaker? Oh, man, there's so many speakers. Hang on. Let me have a quick look here. I think these are... You know what? I don't know if I've actually tried this particular one before. It's rated at 100 watts, 100 dB. So it's not going to be the loudest speaker out of all of them, just looking at the specs, but that doesn't matter. Anything over 100 is pretty loud anyway. And you'll get more output than 100 dB, but it's weird how it works. It's, I think, rated at a meter or something. I'm not really too sure, but yeah, it's got a big magnet on the back too. So let me have a quick look at this. Aggressive low end and powerful low mids. Sounds pretty good to me, man. It's classic sounds of the 60s and 70s. So yeah, if it's going to be as its own speaker in a cabinet, like a single speaker, it looks like it would be a good choice. My suggestion always is try to find as many videos as you can with a similar amp to what you're going to be putting it in. And that's how I wrote a lot of the articles, was like listening to stuff and trying things and knowing the voicing of this speaker, how it sounds with that amp and what's good for this amp and all that kind of stuff. So you've really got to find as much info as you can on it. Yeah, the anniversary one, I don't know if I just can't remember off the top of my head if I've tried that in an amp that it's just been loaded in by default. But yeah, I'm not too sure, but man, great guitar, by the way, the PRS S2, very cool, McCarty. That's right up there. Beautiful, beautiful guitar. And yeah, thanks for the super chat, mate. And apologies for not being able to really recall that off the top of my head, but Celestion make good stuff. And even their like cheap speakers, the 7080s can sound great in the right cab. So you've just got to pair it with the right amp. The way I always look at speaker selection is, what is the current speaker not doing in the amp? Is it too bright? Does it not have enough low end? And if that's what you're looking for, this would be really cool because it's got an aggressive low end, meaning a lot of bass mixed with a good low mids. So you're going to get a very fat sound, which to my brain would say, hey, it's kind of like a Texas Heat speaker in some ways with that low end response. So yeah, good choice if that's what you're looking for. Hey, we've got Thrash Metal Studios here. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. Did I watch? I think I was kind of lurking in one of your chats the other day. Or maybe it was about a week or so ago now. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, mate. Saw you on, but I'm in the middle of my truck testing right now. I need a break. Hey, no worries, man. I think I saw you posted videos saying I'm not going live this week. Maybe that's what it was, actually. I can't remember. I watch so many videos, or they come up and all that kind of stuff. My Mesa Mini Recto EL84 power tubes, I put a set in it half a year ago. Just didn't have the power for a full band practice, always cranked. Wow. Yeah, what sort of output are they rated at though, those amps? I know some Boogie amps, but not all of them. I always find EL84 amps usually cap out at about 30 watts. There might be some exceptions to that, but generally they're all kind of like a sub 30 watt amp, 15, sometimes 10, sometimes 30, but not often more. It's interesting that they put EL84s in a Boogie. I would have always thought they'd be along, you know, going for something with a bit more or less British kind of sound. That's interesting. But I guess it is a small amp, so yeah, that's probably how they came up with that. Let me scroll down. We got Big Wave Dave. He's from Seattle. Welcome, mate. What's the difference between a 10-inch and 12-inch speaker, especially in bigger cabs? Just throw and bass response. The top end's not going to change a whole lot. Sometimes you could argue that 10-inch speakers have more treble. But it's generally, there's a couple of things that affect tone more than anything, right? Obviously the speaker makes a big difference, but the cabinet size. A 10-inch speaker in a big cabinet's going to sound sometimes better than a closed back cabinet with a 12-inch speaker that's small. So if the cabinet is small, it generally affects the sound more than anything. But the biggest thing you'll notice is the low end attack and how much volume it can handle before it does anything it shouldn't be doing. So speaker clipping or distortion is part of a speaker's character. at certain volumes, up, especially up loud. Some speakers that are smaller can be very, very loud, but they'll roll out a lot of the low end so they don't get too distorted and weird on the bass response or clip in that regard. So some Jensens are good like that. 10-inch Jensen speakers, some of them with those, you see those big metal things on the back, they can handle a lot of volume without really getting overly bassy. So that's why you usually see more than one of those together. But I would say the biggest things that contribute to the sound would be speaker size would obviously be part of that, but it's more about the cabinet size and how the cabinet, if it has an open back, does it have a closed back? All those kind of things drastically changes the sound. So yeah. Scroll down. Use the... Yeah, it's weird, you know, like I do some stuff right-handed. Someone's asking, why don't I use a mouse left-handed? Because that's just the way I learned. It was just the way that it was. I write left-handed, which is why I play guitar left-handed. If a lot of people who play guitar, like Rick Beato did a good video on this where he was talking about whatever hand you pick up a pen with is generally the hand that you go to use the pick with because of your dexterity and muscle coordination and fine motor skills. And that makes a lot of sense because he tried playing guitar left-handed and he was as bad as me trying to play right-handed. It's an interesting sort of, it was an interesting video to watch. I actually really enjoyed it. Oh, someone's just mentioned it here. Dougal Dog. Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, just think about it like which hand you write with. But it's funny because I can use a mouse fine, but if I'm going to do any artistic stuff, I'm using my left hand, which say, for example, I'm on a pen on a computer, for example. I'm always going to be using my left hand, or I'm going to be writing on a board left-handed or whatever. But yeah, for mouse stuff, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like my chord hand, you know, so it works out all right. Did Squire discontinue lefty affinity strats? I don't think so. I did a review of one not long ago, so I don't think they've gotten rid of them. Unless they've changed the series of them and called them something else, and I'm not up to speed with it. Jet City cabs are sometimes made to remove the back. Yeah, well, that's it. You can sometimes find them with a panel. I usually find open back cabinets respond better to bass response, and in a room, they generally sound a bit full. They usually fill the room a little nicer, whereas the closed back cabinet amps, not all of them, but a lot of them, tend to be far more directional. And depending on the speaker, they can sometimes have, what's the best way of saying it? They're a bit more of a punchy sound, maybe a little bit less bass response in that big full kind of sound, that big bloom way. So yeah, it depends on what you like. Once you start getting more than one speaker, it doesn't matter as much in my experience. Like if you get an amp with a closed back cabinet with one Celestion greenback, and then you get a 2x12, the 2x12 is going to sound huge no matter what. So yeah. I've had bosses tell me that even though I'm right-handed, my workflow is left-handed. Wow, okay, cool. I think a lot of people do things kind of ambidextrous to some extent. Like I do certain things right-sided. So while I am a left-hander when it comes to like most of the things I would do, like throwing a ball or writing or whatever, playing guitar, there are some things I do right-sided as well. And it's weird. It's really strange. But as soon as I went to pick a guitar up, I went this way because of what Rick said. It's that your hand that writes is the one that's holding the pen, is the one that's holding the pick. Look, some people can learn the opposite way irrespective of that, right? Like Mark Knopfler, I think, is a left-handed person, but he played right-handed because that's all he had. So yeah, there's that. So you can learn, of course. It's just going to take you time. Or we might open up one of these guitars at about it's about the 30-minute mark. Let's do that. All right. I bought my buddy a left-handed only mug. If you use your right hand, there's a hole that pours the liquid out onto your shirt. That's awesome. All right, let's open up one of these boxes over here. So there's two. Let's just go for the first one. This is the least expensive of the two. So we'll start with this one. This is from Artist Guitars here in Melbourne, Australia. And, oh, they're actually from Sydney, Australia, I should say, not from Melbourne. But, yeah, from Australia. They've now got stores all over the place. So after the live stream, I'll add some links. I think I did add a quick link into the description, but I'll link it everywhere. This is one of their new, I think, Tele-ish style guitars. So it's a good alternative to, you know, stuff like Squire or Harley Benton, or if you're looking for something a little bit different. I've got a couple of cameras set up here too, so we'll do this maybe this way for some kicks here. All right, here we go. I'll come back to this in just a sec. Now you can see what's going on here. All right. Ooh, it looks like a butterscotch Tele. All right, so my first impressions is it's not as heavy as the TC59 that I reviewed a while back. I love that guitar. That was the dual humbucker Artist Guitar Tele, but it was just so heavy. And I said that in the review too. I know John, who's here, probably already has 3 of these, but let's take a look. So hopefully you can see that all right. Whoo, look at this. Thin line Tele, 2 humbuckers. And it's lighter because it's also a thin line, which is good. It's got a 50 style neck. We get locking tuners. The neck feels really good. It's not overly high gloss either. It's sort of it's not a satin finish, but it's along those lines. It feels kind of like that. Like it maybe a low gloss might be the best way of saying it. Yep, I thought it might have push-pull pots. So we get a push-pull pot on the tone control so we can coil tap. Wow, that feels amazing. Usually these push-pull pots aren't great on less expensive guitars, but it feels pretty good. The switch feels good as well. Volume control feels pretty good. It's in tune. All right, so there you go. Let us know what you think of this. Visually, it's more of a, I guess, a mustard kind of color. So there it is up close here on this camera. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Looks really good. I don't have the specs at hand yet. I just want to do a quick first impressions of it. Yeah, it looks great. And the color that I'm seeing on my computer monitor looks pretty accurate. So yeah, it is kind of like a mustardy color. It is different to typical butterscotch, but not too different. Just maybe a little darker. But yeah, there's the neck, so you can kind of get a sense of what's going on there. Locking tuners. Headstock looks good. You know, anytime you're not talking about a Fender or Squire headstock, sometimes people's OCD can trigger. Can't believe it's in tune. That's hilarious. Or, yeah. This feels good. Feels really good. So I'll do a review of this coming up in the next week or so. I've just been, for those who have just joined too, at the start of the stream I mentioned I've been working on a new project for the end of this month. It's a short film, so it'll be up on the 31st of this month. I'm going to do the final edits in the next day or two. I worked 11 hours on it yesterday editing, and it's coming up great. So yeah, I think you guys are going to kick out of it. And then, yeah, I'll get stuck into some more of this. Hey, Frank the Tank, thanks, man. He says, cheers, nice first guitar. Thanks, man. That's right, yeah. If you're looking, you know, for a guitar like, I mean, to come out of the box in tune, right? That's unheard of. So yeah, very, very cool. And that's the thing, like you can play any of these guitars live now or at home and just enjoy them. It's really easy to get going with guitar. Hey, Buzz Wilson, welcome, man. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in. The new deeper butterscotch finishes are a result of matching up with roasted necks. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That looks like the dirty mustard paint that HB put on their DC Juniors. You know what, it might be. So I asked about this, if whether or not this was the same, like artist guitars the same as Harley Benton's, and they're not. There are some differences. I don't know if that means that they inherently make them differently, or they're made at the same spot differently, or there's slight features that are different. So yeah, I don't know if they, I haven't seen that from Harley Benton at all, that particular guitar, but maybe they do make one. I'm not too sure. But a couple of cigarette burns and scrapes and it'll be perfect. All right. Russell says, oh man, I just looked at mine. I had a QC issue on the finish, so I'm not playing it till they get back to me. But man, mine's a thin line semi-hollow too, but it's really pretty, I guess. Yeah, cool. Oh, that's sorry to hear it was a QC issue there. If it's out of the way, mate, don't worry. Don't even worry about it. You'll scratch it up as you get playing. I like the pickguard, different but not stupid or offensive. Let's take another look at that, actually. Oh yeah, you're right. I didn't even really notice. You're right. It does look good. And this actually feels good. This switch, yeah, it's very good. And thanks again, Frank, for the super chat, mate. I don't know if I said thanks before, but I appreciate it. All right, we might open up the next one, which should be fun. Padded Pedal Room, welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. Is Australia still on lockdown? Haven't seen a new Guitar Search Saturdays for a while. So I posted a Guitar Search Saturday like a week ago. Just go back a week or two on a Saturday, it'll be there. It's funny because the way YouTube works is if your video doesn't get a lot of traction initially, a lot of the other people that would be subscribed to the channel don't see the uploads. I get comments like, oh, how come you only review Harley Benton guitars? I'm like, I've done like 2 in the last year. So I don't know what you've been watching, but that's what was recommended to you through the way the stupid algorithm works. But yeah, I review everything, all different kinds of guitars. So yeah, it's like probably 200 guitar reviews on the channel and maybe 6 of them are Harley Benton. So it's like, yeah, that's not at all accurate. So yeah, just have a look, mate. You'll find it if you go back a week or two. Australia's crazy, man. I don't know what's going on here. It's a disgrace. What do I think of a P90 neck and humbucker bridge guitars? Yeah, I've only played a couple of that configuration over the years, and it's pretty good. Like I remember playing, I think, what was it, a Duesenberg? I think the TV Star Player was basically that combination. I've also played a Tom Anderson guitar with that combination. I can't remember the model number, but it was a bit like a Strat. It had a P90 and a humbucker in it, and that was pretty cool. I've never owned one though. It's a combination I've never actually owned, but you know, if you like that combination, go for it. It's yeah, you've got to really want that. I would almost say you're probably better off if you've already got a guitar with humbuckers, just get something with P90s and have it as a separate sort of instrument. That would be the way that I'd probably approach it. I don't know if that combination is something I would personally get, but yeah, drop a power supply on it and be done with it. Yeah, man. That was this thing here, this thing. So when I bought my new Telecaster a year and a bit ago, I had this on the desk and I stood on one of the cables, or it got pulled and it just swung down and just smashed straight into the front of my my butterscotch telly that I bought, and it just like put that big hole in the front of it. I was devastated. That was this. Yeah, it's no good. Let me just scroll down. Reverend is what I'm thinking of getting. Yeah, so Reverend's a good brand as well. I did a full rundown of like 5 of their guitars recently on a video as well. I think last week it went up. It was like 5 great Reverend guitars or something like that it was called. Dr. Rick was killing it in that video. If you want to see him play, it's definitely worth it. All right, let's, hey, G&L as well, there you go. Yeah, they make great stuff. All right, I'm gonna open this next one. We'll get this one done. I'll just move this out of the way. Get some junk out of the way here. I can still see the chat here while we go. I love my Reverend Contender. Will you have some lefties in to try out eventually? Yeah, I will, mate. Sky Music have been waiting on their lefty order for a while. I think it's still a bit hard to get shipments and that all through with it, you know, all the crap that's going on. But yeah, whenever they come in, mate, absolutely. I like doing reviews of guitars at the house more than, I mean, the shop ones, the live playing is really good, but you don't get a really great chance to go over the specs and check out I mean, not that I care about specs too much, but just go over the particulars as much. So, yeah, absolutely. I'll do that as soon as I can. Well, that's stuck. Oh, there we go. There's a piece of cardboard in here. That's what's blocking everything. All right. Good packaging on this one. The double box. That's what we need. All right. I got a Pete Anderson. It's a baritone East Sider with Greg Cox pickups in it because it's an evil blues machine. Very cool, man. Hey, Scott says, just ordered my first tally from the Fender mod shop. Got the Texas Special pickups. Good stuff. Texas Special pickups are great. I used to have them in a Strat. They're super cool. Reverend is killing it right now. Outsourced, non-owned factory guitars right now. Okay, cool. Yeah, they've always been good. Like they used to, I don't know if they still do make any of their guitars in the US, but their quality is great. And speaking of those kind of guitars, this is another brand worth checking out as well. Pure Salem. I've had this for a little while now. And this is, I think, made in the same factory as most of those guitars as well. And the quality is very similar. So, yeah, it's kind of got a strange combination. Mini humbucker and a tele pickup. If anyone's wondering what that is, I'm going to re-review that actually coming up pretty soon. It's yeah, it's weird. I didn't know how I felt about it for a while, and then I've been using it again. I'm like, yeah, all right, this is cool. All right, so we get a gig bag here. This is a Vola, and I can't exactly remember what it is. So I think this might be another tally. Man, the packaging on this thing. This is cool. Oh, yeah, that's right. Now I remember. Wow. I feel pretty fortunate to be able to get stuff like this come through. Far out. Stuff's great. Whew. All right. Who else hates this stuff? Oh, for a minute there, I thought it was a fretless fretboard. I was like, oh no. Wow, have a look at this. Whew. So this is a new version of the Vasti, the V-A-S-T-I. That's pretty cool. I like that. I got it in the surf green as well. So as you can see, it's got the contours. I know this shape isn't for everybody, and I heard all about that last time, but they're great. They're really high quality guitars. Made in Japan. Got the Goto locking tuners. Yeah. Locking tuners. This is why they're good. They just, yeah. This neck's not as fat as the old one either, so they've obviously slimmed down the neck to make it a bit more of a modern kind of feel on this one. My other one had a big fat 50s style neck. This has a satin finish as well, not the vintage tint. So the new version, obviously, there's some differences already, I can tell. The frets almost look like stainless steel, but I want to double check the specs, and I'm pretty sure it has, yeah, it's got the push-pull here on the volume control, which activates the dual rail. So this is a passive pickup with the volume control in the down position, so you're getting part of the rail, and then it will go into like the humbucker mode or the dual rail mode, which gives you more output. So it's like a tally like this, and then, yeah, you can sort of fatten up the bridge pickup. Wow, we get a Goto ashtray kind of deal here, the bridge section. This is seriously nice. So this is a color that I've always liked. Never owned a guitar in this color. So yeah, I'll swing it around here so you can check it out. There you go. So yeah, let us know what you think of that. That's out of focus slightly, but it's pretty accurate on, here you go. Let's do this. There we go. So Vola, yeah, if you want to see their YouTube channel's pretty small, but man, there's some good players on it, I tell you. I don't know how they're interested in my stuff, but anyway, yeah, this is cool. This is really cool. Great look too. Yeah, very, very different to the old ones actually. So yeah, there we go. 3-way toggle. We can do the complete unboxing experience. We can peel off the plastic. But there we go. Hey, Jackie, welcome. What was the first one? I'm late. Oh, I'll just show you. So if you missed the first guitar, I'll just do a close-up of it as well. It's probably a bit easier doing this. This was the Artist Thin Line Telecaster, or T-Style, which is loaded with 2 of their humbucker pickups. You can also coil tap, or coil split, or whatever it's called. Everyone likes to call it different things. I'll read the specs when I do the video. Much lighter than the original TC59, which was maybe the heaviest guitar I've ever picked up in my life. Yeah, so this feels pretty much the same as this. I mean, look at this, right? So, inexpensive guitar, great finish, came in tune out of the box. More expensive guitar, looks great as well, but was slightly detuned out of the box. No, it doesn't matter. I mean, one's come from Sydney and one's come from Japan, so I don't expect that one to be in tune, but it was pretty close. But yeah, beautiful guitar. It's also got the locking tuners. Very cool. So yeah, that's what that looks like up close. And thanks for the super chat, by the way. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. We'll take some more questions here, or we'll chat more guitar stuff. I really like the shape. Thanks, man. Surf green, it is, yeah. Joey says, and I've been sub for 8 years. Oh, thanks, man, far out. Sorry if I missed your question before. Let me scroll back up here. I'll see if I did miss anything here. If I did miss anything while I was showcasing that stuff, just at In the Blues me again, and I'll take a look. Sorry if I missed it. GW Taylor says, I picked up an Artist TC59 after seeing a review. Love it, but you weren't kidding about the weight. Currently have one of their 59 LPs stuck in transit. UK shipping is a mess right now. Oh, sorry to hear about that. But yeah, the 59s, great guitars, super heavy. Like, I had to say that in the review. It's like the most obvious thing you notice about it when you get it. It's like, why is this so heavy? It was a deal breaker for me, unless you're sitting down and playing predominantly, right? And then it's fine. But yeah, very, very heavy guitar, but great, like good amount of vibe. The Vola you had on this channel is probably the best you've ever had. Yeah, they make good stuff. There's no question about it. I mean, when you're talking about what they cost versus what you get from them, it's right up there in terms of like bang for buck and value. And Japanese guitars are generally awesome, right? Not all of them, but a lot of them are. And that Vola, that's one of those brands I knew nothing about before getting my hands on one. And if they weighed a ton or they didn't play well, I'd mention that in the videos. But yeah, really, really nice. Gil Lamb, welcome. Oh, cool. Ether Boy just says he ordered a Keisel Dallas, I think it is, in surf green the other day with the Johnny Hiland pickups. Only bad part, it's going to be 4 to 5 months until I get my hands on it. It'll be worth it. Those Johnny Hiland pickups kick ass. I've got them in my white Keisel. It's unbelievable. Yeah. I got some live clips of that coming up too. Man, that guitar, I love it. So congrats, man. Yeah, they're another guitar that's very good value considering they're handmade. Is that a Vola? It is, Lincoln, yep. All right, cool. Let me just scroll back down here. Hey, Greg, thank you, mate. I'm a fellow lefty and bought the same Harley Benton Fusion T like you reviewed a week ago. I'm blown away by the neck, fit, and finish. So not to give this video coming up away that isn't in, I've just filmed the live playing parts. That guitar felt like I'd been playing it for 10 years. As soon as I picked it up and started playing, I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome. That's how it felt. I took that basically out of the box. It sat around for a bit, and I went straight to filming it. I didn't change the strings. I didn't do anything. And that guitar is easily one of the easiest to play that I've ever had my hands on. And it feels so good. It actually feels better to play than some of my other guitars, which are way more expensive. Some people think those pickups aren't that good. I don't know who said that in a video. Maybe someone with a lot of subs who never plays live said that. But yeah, it was one of those things where I was stunned. You know, Rick actually tried a few of the right-handed ones. And yeah, it was just like, it made no difference. It made no difference to the set. And a great picture there, I think, with Brad Paisley, mate. That's awesome. Well done. I'm glad you liked the guitar too, because that was one I always wanted to try on a lefty. And at the time, we were overseas like 3 or 4 years ago, however long it's been now. Yeah, I never got to play one of those. There weren't any lefties. So yeah, very cool. I'm glad you like it. And thanks for the super chat too, Greg. So Peter says, I'm so excited. I just got a brand new vintage V6 today. Oh, yeah. Those guitars are really good. They've been around for a long time. One of the shops I used to go to years ago had a lot of those guitars in. Let me just have a look. Yeah, they're super cool. Let me have a look here. Yeah, a mate of mine, Alex, has a couple of these, I'm pretty sure still. Yeah, they were the first ones to pretty much bring out a Eric Clapton Blackie copy years ago. I'm talking maybe 12 or so years ago, maybe longer, I'm not exactly sure, but I remember seeing those in shops years ago thinking, what are these? And then I saw the price, I'm like, they're relic and they're that cheap? So, yeah. But yeah, good stuff, man. Like, yeah, it should be a great guitar. And they're probably a fun guitar to do sort of like mods to if there's anything you need to change or you want to upgrade stuff. And you might not even need to, right? I'm not saying do it because you need to. Just if you choose to change something, you know, what better guitar can you go with than that? John says, do I still have the other two Volas? I don't, no. I ended up selling both of them to one guy. He was really keen on them, and yeah, they went to a good home. That's sort of how I help cover my costs. Like, if I'm not charging to make my videos, which is the case for nearly everything, then it's like, well, I have to cover my costs somehow. So that's how I do that. But when I ended up with, I had too many guitars. It's pretty much what it comes down to. Some of the other stuff I got sent in, I ended up sending back because I was like, I just have too many boxes, too much of this stuff hanging around. So yeah, I've got 2 Fender Telecasters. I had a Keisel Telecaster. I had a Fender Strat. you know, it's like, well, how many more guitars that's kind of similar do I need to have? And I don't like just putting them on a wall and forgetting about them. That's not me. I'd rather keep the stuff that's getting high playtime. At least that's the plan. Hey, we got K. Michael from Sebastian, Florida. Welcome, mate. I'll be in Florida very, very soon, all being well. Oh, wow. This is Russell. He says, I got a legit Peavey Steve Cropper Classic, but it was completely destroyed when I got it here. Oh, no way. It was the green one. Far out. You know, that's not a guitar I know, but yeah, Steve Cropper Classic. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's definitely something on my. I'm gonna just quickly do a search. Oh, okay. Wow. I didn't know he was a Peavey artist. That's yeah. I don't know much about Steve Cropper's sort of rig in terms of what he played and all that kind of stuff. But what a player. Sorry to hear it was destroyed, mate. That's no good. That's brutal. GRB Aquatics says, I have a TC59 artist. It's awesome. Has stayed in tune for the first 6 weeks so far. Amazing locking tuners are awesome. I want them on all of my guitars now. I agree. There's no reason why locking tuners shouldn't be on every guitar. It doesn't matter the price anymore. They should just be on every guitar, especially like Les Paul style electrics where they inherently never stay in tune properly. It's such a huge help that they should all be doing it. I had this chat with Rick the other day. He bought 2 custom shop Gibson Les Pauls, 58 and something else, 59 or something maybe, I don't know. They basically look the same, and he has to tune it up almost every other song. It's like, why don't they just put locking tuners on their guitars or fix the inherent issue? But they can't, because as soon as they do, the people that want those classic instruments won't want to buy it. It sucks, because you would think that putting great locking tuners on a guitar that's beautiful would be a great thing, but they still don't do it. They can't do it, I guess. Or they choose not to, maybe that's more like it. But yeah, good stuff. The TC59s are fantastic, man. Just very... let us know how heavy your one is if you haven't already. Someone commented before. I can't remember who mentioned it, but yeah, they're heavy. All right. Steven says, my most expensive guitar retailed anywhere from $400 to $800. Highly underrated. Excuse me. It's part of the 2017 Hamer lineup. Hamer guitars are awesome, man. Just beautiful. I did a guitar search Saturdays at the guitar Wild Horse Guitars. It's like two or three ago, and I featured some of those in that video. Man, awesome. Very, very cool. You know, I haven't played one, but every time I see them, I'm like, man, I want to try one of those at some point. Have you seen the Fame Forum Modern Guitar? Fame Forum Modern Guitar, PRS clone, same specs. Have I seen the... No, I haven't even heard of that, man. Let me have a look. Let me see what we've got here. Let's go to images here. Come on. Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Looks good. Looks really good. I like the blue denim sort of finish on it as well. That the stonewashed blue kind of look. Beautiful. Yeah, haven't played them. Haven't heard of them until right now. Definitely look pretty good. I don't think I'll buy one of these because I've already got a PRS SE Custom 24 that I love. I'm like, I have no plans on getting rid of that whatsoever. I don't even want to buy a proper, like a USA made PRS. I don't see the point now. That guitar's so good. The only way I'd do it is if I really, like if that guitar got wrecked. That might be an incentive to do it. But, you know, guitars like this or the Harley Benton, what was it called? The Harley Benton, I've forgotten the model number. Anyway, we reviewed a couple of the Harley Bentons that are basically the same. I compared them as well, and they're so similar to the PRS SE Custom 24s. Really cool guitars. Yeah, these look just as nice. There's like I like the denim one. The gloss finishes look pretty good as well, but yeah, check them out. Yeah, John says, I knew you got rid of some, but I thought you'd hang on to them. Yeah, look, I kind of wanted to, but it's one of those things. I listed the Telecaster first because I wasn't using it. As nice as it is, I was like, oh, I'm not playing it. Why am I holding on to it? And I needed to cover costs as well. So it's kind of like, I got rid of that. And then the same guy said, oh, are you interested in selling the other one? I was like, sure, why not? So I did him a good deal and it worked out well. Yeah, so I've pretty much, the last purge I did, I pretty much, what else was there? I can't remember what else I ended up selling, but yeah, anyway, that's pretty much it. Most asked question is from Mustafa, who says, shall I get an Epiphone and upgrade slowly in time or wait until I can get a Gibson? I'm extremely confused. So if you do buy an Epiphone, there's so many good ones you can buy. If you're asking me, should I buy like an entry-level Epiphone or wait and get a Gibson, then I would say wait and get a Gibson because they're great. You can get one of the tribute guitars that cost not that much compared to some of their other guitars from Gibson, and they're going to be great. But the Epiphones that are awesome are like the Gold Top, their 50s one or the 60s one or any of those. They're unreal. So you might not need to upgrade after that. If you're just getting started, get a good Epiphone guitar, because if you choose to get a Gibson, at least the resale value will be okay. If you only want to do it right once, like if you can afford to go get a Gibson and you want to stick at playing guitar, then do that. But if you're not sure you're going to keep playing, still buy an Epiphone, because they're not only awesome electric guitars, but if you don't continue to play long term, or if you want to upgrade to something else, you can sell it and still get a decent price. So yeah, that would be my suggestion with that. But a lot of people will say that they prefer Epiphones over Gibsons. Some people will say they like Gibsons over Epiphones, and the gap has closed so much especially in the last 3 years, that it doesn't make much of a difference. I can play Epiphones as easily as I can play most Gibson guitars and vice versa. So yeah, it's a tough question, man. It comes down to what you need versus what you want to spend and how long you've been playing and what you can justify more than anything else. The inexpensive Chinese-made Jinho locking tuners that show up on lower price guitars are apparently quite decent. Yeah, I mean, it's just a locking mechanism. I mean, whether or not that will last the same amount of time long term, it's hard to know. But yeah, any of these, like, I don't know, I'm not that like spec heavy when it comes to guitars. I don't know all the details about tuners and pickup wiring and all that kind of stuff. All I know is about like what feels good to play and all that kind of, and tuning reliability and all that sort of stuff. So whatever's on that artist guitar feel good, and because it's in tune out of the box, that's pretty cool. So yeah, what used to be, yeah, especially in the last sort of, I would say since 2010, a lot of less expensive guitars have gotten so much better because they have to. Otherwise, you're going to get bashed online and no one will buy them. So they have to produce something that people are going to want to keep or play or whatever, right? So any word of mouth online spreads pretty quickly. And if a guitar's junk and the person doing the reviews doing their job, then yeah, people are going to know about it, right? So yeah, it's hard to find junk. It really is. Oh, the chat just flew all the way down here. I'll take a couple more questions and then I'll timestamp this up for people who are joining in late. My Artist TC59 weighs in at 4.8 kilograms or 10.6 pounds. Yeah, man, I don't know how heavy the one that I had was, but I had a electric scales that went to 5 kilograms, and it maxed it out. So that's crazy. A CST24. There you go. Thank you. That is exactly what I was thinking of. Harley Benton CST24. What's the current state of the used guitar market? I'm looking to unload some gear. So it depends on where you live, but generally it's still doing pretty well. I have had no trouble moving things on my... hang on. Sorry, let me just move this around. I've had no problems moving things on, at least a couple of months ago now. I haven't really sold anything in the last couple of months at least, but before that I had no problems with it. People are still buying things. A couple of friends of mine have sold guitars. Dr. Rick sold a lot of guitars. So he got rid of, I think, four instruments and 2 amps and had no problems doing that. Another friend of mine just sold a Gibson like that as well. So people are still buying and selling a lot of things. The problem with it is a lot of the time too, depending on, I'm not on Facebook. I don't use any of that stuff anymore. But, you know, you get a lot of trade offers and a lot of people don't want that. They just want to have like, they just want to sell something a lot of the time, and you'll always get these trade offer, you know, things. And I get it. People want to do trades. Usually if I'm selling something, I want to clear space, but I guess everyone's in a different position. But yeah, I don't think you'll have too much of a trouble sort of selling anything at the moment, or buying for a good price either. You know, the beauty of being able to pay cash for something is, one, you'll get a better price because they know if it's, a lot of people know if they use something like eBay or whatever the case is, you're getting 10% less in the end than you would if you didn't use eBay. So there's always that too. Any thoughts about the Epiphone Joe Bonamassa Lazarus? You know, I don't know the specs of this one. Let me have a quick look here. It's the 59 Les Paul. Yeah, interesting enough. I'm not a big fan of that that finish. Yeah, what is it? What do they call it? I don't know what the actual finish is called. Or maybe that's what it is called, actually. Maybe that is the finish color. Yeah, it is. All right, so the Lazarus is the actual finish color. It's kind of like a lemony kind of look, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. If it's based on a 59, it'll have a nice, it's a 59 rounded medium C-neck on a 59. That's interesting. Maybe before that, they were the fatter necks. But, man, if Joe had any input into this guitar, it's going to appeal to the right audience. He knows his stuff. He's a huge nerd. So yeah, I don't know enough about it, just looking at it right now to really comment on it. But if you like the finish, that's part of the visual aspect of it. But I'm sure it's going to sound just as good as the rest of the Epiphones from the range at the moment. They're all great. I did a really good video a while back that not that many people saw, like the 5 best Epiphone guitars, and they're just so good right now. They really are. Do I still enjoy the Flying V in natural? I'm thinking about getting one myself, and I'd like your opinion. That's from Tack Ridge, I think it is, or Tuck Ridge. Yes, I love it. Absolutely love it. I don't use it a lot in the room when I'm sitting and playing because it's awkward, but it appears every now and then on the jam tracks because they're just at the start of the videos because I'm usually standing and playing. Beautiful guitar. Yeah, you know, Dr. Rick's looking at getting a custom shop one. I'm like, save your money, man. Just get one like mine. It's going to sound exactly the same. It looks cool. And yeah, I'm not selling that ever unless I have to for some reason. It's beautiful. Hey, Greg's Kitchen. Welcome, mate. I sold 2 left-handed guitars and an amp in the last week. Oh, there you go. So that's the state of the used market. Yeah, it's still a good time to buy and sell. Even just looking at eBay too, there's lots of well-priced pedals and secondhand stuff. You know, I get on there quite a lot and just have a look around, see what sort of pops up just from time to time. And yeah, cool. I saw a Sire Strat style on Philip McKnight's channel that had a gloss finish rosewood fretboard. Looked great. More companies should do that rather than just with the maple. Yeah, it's something different. You're right. It is very different. I think with the rosewood fretboards, I think the guitar that's probably most known for that would probably be like a George Harrison sort of tele. I think that was what, yeah, one of his guitars was pretty much iconic. A friend of mine made a clone of that from parts and it looked great. I saw his thumbnail pop up. I haven't actually checked that video out yet. What are your thoughts on the Marshall Studio Vintage? Since I know you like the DSL range. So I've reviewed a few of these amps, I think. Let me just have a look. Yeah, I have. So I've reviewed the, I think it was the JCM 800. I really like that. Some people don't love it because they think it's a bit bright, but for that classic rock sound, it's pretty cool. I think that's the only one from that series I've tried. The Studio SH, I think, was the, I actually wrote an article about it as well. So if you go to guitarpedaldemos.com and type in Marshall, it should come up. But yeah, there should be a couple of videos on the channel. But yeah, pretty cool. I like the DSL because it's got everything that I would like in an amp. My one has 4 channels you can pick from, or you can immediately select between 2 with a foot switch that it comes with, which is awesome. And then it also has good reverb, even though it's digital, it works great. It's just enough. I just turn them all the way up and that's how I use that. Having 2 different power settings and everything just in a combined package for me makes a lot of sense. I'm not a big fan of the head and cab thing, even though generally that will sound better. It's just a bit more work to carry things around. Hey Shane, I've just been saving up for the Epiphone Les Paul 60s in Lefty. It's a great guitar. I've been looking at the Gretsch G5220. I think that's the one that I kind of like as well. Let me have a look. Yeah, these Gretsch guitars are really good, mate. Look, I would say if you can, if you have the opportunity to play them both, give them a go. The Gretsch feels very, very similar to a Les Paul in terms of feel. The sound is going to be different though. So just base your selection off what tonal inspiration you get listening to both. That would be my suggestion. Because the Gretsch guitars they just have a different vibe going on. And it's not worse, it's just different, completely different. So base it on what kind of style of music you're playing. If you want to really play a lot of heavy stuff or you want to play sort of like get traditional jazz tones or blues tones, Les Paul might be the way to go. But you can get a lot of that out of the Gretsch as well. It's just going to have a different sort of snap on the note. I need to play the V tucked between your legs like a metal player. You know, I've tried that a few times. I just can't get into it. I've tried to do it on videos where I'm sitting down. I end up putting it back and grabbing another guitar because it's just easier. What do I think of the Marshall Origin amps? I think the good one is the 50, either the head or the cabinet. Stay away from the 5-watt amp. It was the worst practice amp I ever played, or worst 5-watt tube amp I've ever heard. The 20's okay if you can live without reverb and a 10-inch speaker. I just don't know where that amp really sits for, like, who would want that for anything other than home studio recording. It just is not really that loud. It doesn't give you a big sound. It's loudish, but I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of, I would say go for the 50 if you're going to buy one, because you can also, I think, switch the power attenuation down. I still don't think they're as good as the DSL range for what I like at all. Especially stay away from that 5-watt Marshall Origin amp. It's awful. I like Flying V guitars, except for where they choose to put the strap button on the bottom where your knee goes. That's why your knee doesn't go there. See, easy. I'm being silly. 7-string blues. Never played a 7-string. All right. Hey, Nick Vaz is here. Welcome, man. I bought a cheap left-handed Agile 2000. Sounds pretty good and looks very nice. Didn't want to pay top dollar for a Les Paul copy. I'd still love a Gretsch or LP. Yeah, Gretsch guitars are one of those brands I think people are starting to sort of realize, like, oh, these are good. And they make so many different types of guitars, like everything from the full archtop hollow body ones through to solid body Les Paul style electrics with different pickups, and you get tremolo arms and the Bigsby kind of vibe. There's so much there that can appeal to a lot of people, and those pickups, they cut really nicely in the mix. You know, if you play funk or whatever, or rockabilly or whatever, they're a great, great sound. Dougal Dog says, you intrigued me with this upcoming short film, Shane. That sounds adventurous and interesting. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah, coming up at the end of this month, I'm going to do a live premiere for it. A lot of work's gone into this. It's why I haven't been uploading as frequently as normal lately or doing live streams. I've been working on a big project. So all the first big edit is done as of last night. I watched it back. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty happy of this, how it's come up. I'm not going to give it away, but it's going to be very different to everything I've done and everything that's been done in the guitar community, to my knowledge. I haven't seen anything like this. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm not even going to give it away. People who are on Patreon have seen some behind the scenes stuff, but I'm not even ruining it for them. So yeah, can't talk. So yeah, stay tuned. It'll be up at the end of this month. Also hate where they put the input jack on the Flying V's. I don't have a problem with that at all. Like, just if it bothers you, just grab a right-angled guitar jack. That's it. Easy fixed. Some brands put it in different spots too, if you're talking about outside of Gibson, but yeah, I don't mind it there. I actually don't even, yeah. I get it. If you've got a straight jack, it might look a bit funny, but you'll forget about it after you realize, man, these sound good. Hey, Baclouder, thanks for that. The Origin 20 is great if you combine it with another amp. Oh, so yeah, of course. If you're talking about stacking stuff together, it's great. I just meant like it's a 20 watt amp with a 10-inch speaker, not a lot of reverb. I don't think it's got any of those effects, right? It's just like a basic. It's been ages since I've tried them. I tried them the year they came out, and I haven't tried them since, so I can't really remember the exact layout of those amps, but I just remember not enjoying them as much as the DSLs feature-wise. They were like, oh, okay. And I also like the open back cabs, or the semi-open back cab, I should say, of the DSL series. They've always got that section that's open at the top, or sometimes at the bottom, depending on the amp. They're not an open back cab, but there's some of that cabinet, or the back of the cab that's open. I don't remember seeing that on those amps either, but anytime you're sort of stacking amps, and it all comes down to personal choice. You know, what I like or don't like isn't what someone else is going to like or don't like. I just give you my opinion on stuff. Hey, Dara. Thank you, mate. Hope you're doing well. And thank you for the super chat, mate. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, we might wrap this up. If anyone's got any last questions, just let us know. But yeah, I'll try and timestamp this coming up. And as I said, stay tuned. End of the month, something special's coming up. And yeah, I'm going to start doing a bit more. Like, this year of content wasn't what it was supposed to be because of all the lockdown stuff. I actually had planned a massive adventure that was going to be a lot of fun that I was going to share with a lot of people. But that'll be next year, all being well. I'll know pretty much at the end of this month when I can do that and how soon I can leave. So, yeah, once that's sort of finalized or set in stone, the channel's going to shift slightly coming up. And then I'll also, when I'm at home, I'll be doing a lot of the same stuff. But I got a lot of great stuff that was supposed to be coming up this year that didn't. So that'll now be next year, all being well. And I'm going to start throwing in some different stuff like this, as well as a few more of these live clips that we're putting together as well. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody hanging out, and thank you for all the questions and comments and super chats and stuff. If you enjoyed the video or the live stream, before I got to your question, please leave a thumbs up. If I didn't, I apologize. Just leave it on the actual normal comment section of the video, and I'll get back to you when I'm doing the timestamps. I'll see them pop up. Jono says, Shane, have you had a chance to play the DAM fuzz pedals or any of the Macari's color sound stuff? No, I've never heard of them. Sorry, mate. Ever thought about seeking freedom outside of the island? 100% of the day. Yes. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I can't wait to get out of here, Sean. I'll be going for a while. Can't wait to get out of here. Yeah, like you wouldn't believe, mate. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's end on a good note. So, yeah, stay tuned for these videos. I got some other fun little alts, I guess some popular Boss pedals videos. I'm going to reapproach some I haven't tried for 9 years, which will be fun. If you go back to my old videos 9 years ago, you'll see these really crappy videos. And so I've just done basic pedal videos again, but with the updated gear and better playing hopefully as well. So there'll be some new stuff coming up, and then, yeah, I'm going to throw some other content in the mix. Now that this big project's out of the way, the short film, it's only 10 minutes or so. They take so long. They really do take a long time. So, yeah, now that this is basically done, I just got to fix a few edits. It's going to be, I'll be able to get back onto doing all the other stuff. But anyway. All right, guys, take care. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I always appreciate it. Thanks for the support. And I will catch you on the next one. And hi to Janice as well, who's been lurking. I just saw your name pop up there. Thank you. And we'll catch you soon. See ya.